Star Citizen's Resource Drive event seems to be getting easier and easier to complete the closer it gets to being sunsetted from the servers. For anyone still needing to complete it, now is probably the time. I'm Forrester, and this gameplay video shows a short session of hitting the Resource Drive event, contrasting it to how much more challenging the event was to complete at the beginning. From goofing around with other players on launch to raft hauling to Idris gathering, and now this, things just seem to be getting easier and easier. So sit back and enjoy the Resource Drive. So the first step is to take the contract itself, in this case the 127k contract. They're named slightly differently depending on which faction it is. For Microtech it's the Large Cargo Rescue. This was inspired for me by a couple of different posts on the Star Citizen Reddit, which just talked about how easy things are right now, and I needed a bit of easy in my life for this session. Essentially, the idea is that you grab your fighter or fast ship and head out there to rendezvous with the cargo ship. As often happens, there's a little bit of a queue to leave the hangar, so I've sped up some of the footage. It's marked with a 4-speed down at the bottom. I'll give you more information on what we'll do when we get there. For me, this was a welcome finding, so I'm grateful for the couple of posts that went up on the subreddit about this. I've been meaning to get around to finishing the Resource Drive event, but it is a little bit grindy, and I'm also trying to do lots of other things in the game at the moment, so having a faster option to complete it is more than welcome. That said, it does feel a little bit gimmicky. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing this, but certainly if I was one of the players that completed their faction through many hours of grinding on the first few days of the event, seeing just how easy things have become now, it could be a little grating. Of course, the main challenge here is just getting out of the hangar, but finally the doors have opened, so I'll make my way out and head up to Port Tressler, just as a quick way to exit the atmosphere. Now that I'm out of the atmosphere, I'll try and set a route to my location, but for some reason the automatic route finder doesn't seem to be wanting to work, so all I'll do is I'll hop to one of the moons around Microtech to get me around the planet, and then jump in from there. So heading across, each of these events has got a quantum beacon, which makes it very easy to head to, and then it's just a case of, once you arrive, finding the actual cargo ship. This seems to be the key from the guide, is making sure that the cargo ship that you're finding is a Hercules series. There are others that spawn, like a Caterpillar, but clearly the Caterpillar is going to be much more limited in the cargo that can fit on it. So we want a Hercules, and in this case the ship is a Caterpillar, so I'm actually just gonna drop this mission. Sorry Microtech, pick up an alternative. So having changed mission, I have a new destination. Sorry, Astor Remington. But you perked up quickly afterwards, not too disappointed. So here we are at the next asteroid mining base. We'll see if this contract has got a more favourable ship on it. Oh, there's a Polaris over there. I would see something like a Polaris or an Idris that's abandoned and think, if only I had my salvager handy right now. Now this one is a Hercules, which is what we want. So slam on the brakes by switching from nav to SCM, or flying behind it. And the abandoned ships surrounding this place suggest that a few other people have been busy doing this as well. But that's fine. So then 0G, hop out of the seat. I tend to do it a little bit further back from the ship, just so that if there's any drift or anything like that still on the ship when I get out, it's not going to accidentally fly into the Herc, set everything going, and you end up with a scene from Interstellar where you're trying to hop aboard a moving ship. So I'm always more cautious in setting further back. The more confident I'm sure could get much closer. And then open the rear cargo door as my way aboard the ship, and look at all that cargo. This ship is full to the brim. Well, perhaps not full to the brim, but almost full to the brim. This is a lot of cargo. I'm finding that these Hercs are carrying between 450 to 475 SCUs of cargo, which clearly is considerably more than a single haul on the the Raft, doing 180. And certainly more than some of the earlier contracts. So when the entire faction only needs 2,800 to complete it, being able to do that 450 SCUs at a time is a massive help. If only we had this at the start, eh? So the trick seems to be, and this was spelled out in a couple of the Reddit posts, is just sit and just wait until the top right changes from recover the cargo to actually head back with it. And I'll manage some power while I wait. It does say there are enemy reinforcements incoming, but I can't see any. And it just says all I have to do is deliver the cargo boxes to Port Tressler. And I think this is where things have got perhaps a bit too easy with this. So not only is that cargo deck absolutely chock-a-block full of cargo, but also there seems to be some issue where the hostiles don't really spawn, which makes it incredibly easy just to sit in the pilot's chair, wait for that timer to run down, and then just head off with your cargo ship full of delicious cargo. Such a simple way to complete the contract. I guess this is probably the same with a lot of the different events that are running, whereby as you reach the end of a patch cycle, they get considerably easier. It was the same with the sandworms, that everybody was firing that mining laser on day one, and now you can go back and it's very often much quieter. But yeah, I don't know that it's intended to be quite this easy, but just taking the contract and doing the mission, so I can't see that there's anything wrong with it. Just does feel a little bit easy. The easiest way to do this is to probably head to Port Tressler and unload in Tressler. That said, I have got an ATLS which is down and ready in New Babbage, so I'm actually just going to head down to New Babbage, and it's where I'm going to be logging out after this session anyway, so I'm heading home for this one. And then try and spot out the New Babbage interstellar spaceport at night time. Definitely helped by the bright white flashing lights that were added. Much easier to find. So, because there's really nothing to fight in these contracts at the moment, it's possible to do an entire faction from 0 to complete probably within a couple of hours, which is considerably less than the grind used to be for those flying out with a raft. But it is what it is, I guess. This is kind of, I guess, how the game rolls. It's a bit cyclical like this. But for me, to finish the event, I'm very happy to do this. Just at least get it done, get it ticked off. Not that Microtech is going to win at this point anyway. And then, since I'm back at NBIS, I've got to wait for the hangar to be ready for me once again. The old waiting simulator. That said, this has been a very quick hop to get back with nearly 500 SCUs of cargo for the resource drive event, so I'm not begrudging too much a little wait. Port Tressler probably would have been quicker, but I'm happy to come back home to New Babbage for this. And there, finally have our hangar. So one of the little features of the ships that I've only recently discovered is that you can enable a mode or disable a mode. I don't know what's the correct terminology for it. You can change one of your ship options so that when you drop your landing gear, it no longer automatically slows down the ship, so you can fly at SCM speeds with the gear down. And I'm really getting into that right now. It took a little bit of getting used to at the start, where every time you put your gear down, you're expecting the handbrake to come on. But actually, I really like being able to fly at faster speeds with the gear down. It feels very, very helpful. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that was unaware of that, but for me it was very handy. I do keep meaning to ask people if it's worth making a little video, perhaps with some of the different tips and tricks that I've employed over time. You can let me know in the video comments if you think that would be helpful, but I do enjoy this new thing for me that I've discovered, that I can fly around with the landing gear down, but without the ship slowing down. So now that I'm landed, I'm near the cargo elevator. I am going to use the elevator on the Hercules to exit the ship and go and pick up my ATLS for unloading the cargo. I can see in the top right I've got 49 crates to unload, but that 49 crates are worth nearly 450 odd SCUs, so that seems worthwhile to me to unload them, even if it means I have to brave the ATLS, which, yes, it still hates me. Get that rear cargo door opening. ATLS is parked right by the freight elevator. Excellent parking in the hangar. And then just as I'm in and powered up, the ramp is down and I can start bringing these supplies across. Different people have different methodologies for using the ATLS. Some people use the Tobii eye tracker, for example, to look around with it. Some people are very, very quick with an ATLS. I do not pretend to be an expert. I've said in many a video, my ATLS hates me. I've certainly got a lot more practiced at using it throughout this event, but I'm probably a bit of a casual with how I use it. So please don't judge me for my ATLS unloading technique. I'm just trying to get the crates down as quickly and safely as possible, and I'm not worried about min-maxing it. Just get the crates onto the elevator, I say. Now, I did think about speeding this footage up to show kind of a bit of a faster loading and unloading, but I thought actually I'll leave it in as is, because for me this type of grabbing this 127k contract and quickly getting a load of SCUs in, it feels quick, and I didn't, even though it might not feel quick on a video, I think it feels quick compared to what I used to be doing for the resource drive event. So I wanted to kind of show that. Hopefully it's not too distressing for you, dear viewer, watching me badly unload with an ATLS, but I wanted to show even somebody who is not an expert like me can be unloading crates fairly quickly, getting them on the freight elevator fairly quickly, and actually this entire session of making this progress, even though it wasn't optimized, was 26 minutes end to end. So despite the fact that I could have done this much faster, and somebody more competent than me could definitely do it faster, it was still fast. And I'm sure somebody more competent than me wouldn't be struggling to get the ATLS up this ramp. It just doesn't want to go. I think the ramp must be creating like a small lip, and the ATLS is just like, nope. Hey ho, the challenges we face, eh? So the HLS just doesn't want to get up. I have got a little trick that might work, which is picking it up with my tractor beam and just putting it on the ramp. So I'll move it away, lift it up, place it down, and see if that works. And that does work. So I'll continue unloading the ATLS. So I'm not one of these people that has done all of the manufacturers. I've made progress on Crusader and Microtech. Those are the two that I wanted for the skins, really. I realised that neither of them was likely to win, so I'm not so worried about getting that top tier reward. I know that Herson has been in the lead since day one, and that's the way of things. People wanting that sweet 5% discount, expecting it to apply to the ships you can buy there, which is fair enough, I suppose, if that's how it goes. But you can let me know in the video comments who you were supporting to win Resource Drive and why. And if it was just Herson to get your 5% off ships, I can respect that. I'm happy to have a 5% discount on ships if that's the way it goes. I couldn't find myself naturally supporting Herson. You know, on Planet Herson they wear plastic bags on their heads sometimes. So uncivilized. Got a bit of a mess of crates here that I need to tidy up a little bit. I'm trying to get greedy and grab the big ones first, and I should be grabbing the ones at the front first. Like I said, I'm not necessarily the person who's doing this the most effectively or efficiently. I'm getting it done my own way, in my own time. But don't worry, Microtech, I am getting it done. Do like the HLS for this. Once you do get into the zone with it, being able to stand kind of equidistant between where you're putting the crates and where you're grabbing the crates from, and you're kind of just quickly getting things moved one to the next, one to the next. That's one of the things I like about cargo hauling. I know that moving boxes isn't for everyone in this game, and know that it can feel a bit tedious, but for me, like, it's one of those things that's quite satisfying when you get in the zone with it. I guess it's probably like people that like cleaning and things like that. It's a chore, but when you're in the zone with it, it can be quite satisfying. I don't know how to explain it. But I do like it when I'm moving crates and it feels fast and it feels efficient and they rattle around everywhere. And I really hope, dear viewer, that you don't judge me for this feeling fast and efficient when you're probably much better at unloading crates than I am. And that looks like everything. That looks like all of the crates from this Herc. All 49, hopefully. So that'll be some good progress towards the Resource Drive event. And what I'll do is I'll park my ATLS back by this freight elevator, ready for use on whatever the next challenge will be. And there they are. Look at all those crates. 49 crates. So use the freight manager. Always seems to get stuck refreshing for me, so I just back out, back in, and it refreshes straight away. Send the crates down. Hopefully that's all 49. And yes, it is. I am just over the final total that I needed for Microtech. which gives me the final tier 5 rewards. You're welcome, Remy. Master Remington. And thank you to those couple of posts on Reddit that suggested I revisit these 127k missions. You were right, super easy. If you enjoyed this video, you might press the like button to let me know I should make more of these videos in future, and if you're not yet subscribed, given that you got this far, you might like to do that too, so that YouTube will know to show you more videos like this in future. But otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.